Property, your weekly real estate reckoner. I'm Nayantara Rai. This week, we're once again putting the spotlight on the real estate regulator as the bill has been passed by Parliament. This is what we have on the show today. We will tell you about the important clarifications issued by the government on 15th of March on the Real Estate Regulatory and Authority Bill. For example, the clarifications on the 70% lock-in on buyer's advance. What does the bill mean for new home buyers? Will prices go up? Should you delay your property purchase or buy before states start enacting the real estate regulator? And on Property Doctor, we get DSK Legal to answer your queries on the proposed real estate regulator. The real estate regulator bill as passed by Parliament requires builders to lock in 70% of the buyer's advance in a separate bank account. How is this going to work on ground? Could prices go up? How will the imprisonment clauses for builders pan out? Is the imprisonment proposed only for builders, or could it also be for the landowners? What happens to all of you that might be giving your plots of land to builders to build flats? Could you be imprisoned? I tried to find out with a partner of JSA Law Firm. I'm now joined by Vivek Chandi, partner at JSA Law Firm. Thanks, Vivek, for joining us here on Prime Property. My first question to you has to do with the 70% lock-in proposed in the Real Estate Regulatory and Authority Bill. How do you see that working on ground? Will builders be allowed to tap into those funds at all at the time of construction?
I would like to draw your attention to a clarification that was provided by the Ministry on the 15th of March, where they said that to the extent monies have actually been incurred on land, those monies can actually be taken out of the account. So now, in one of the large cities like, say, Bombay, Delhi or Bangalore, where the land cost is typically 60 or 70% of the project cost, a developer can say that now I've spent 70% of the project cost on the land, and therefore I take out the entire money from this account. So there needs a lot of clarity on that, and that has not been provided.
And Vivek, do you have any clarity as yet on whether banks are going to be allowed to access that bank account, which will have the 70% of the buyer's advance? Because if they don't have access to that, how are builders supposed to get loans to finish all of these projects?
Yeah, the second concern is about whether lenders will be protected, because today, it's unclear as to whether monies from this account where the 70% is deposited can actually be used to, pay lenders in terms of interest, or where there's a default, whether the lenders can have a lien over this account. Now, traditionally in the past, when a bank were to lend money to, a developer, they would have, in the case of a default, they would have the ability to, take all monies from the account into which, the receivables were deposited. Now, with this new bill, once it becomes an act, it's unclear as to what rights the lenders would have over that bank account and the money is within. So I think that's another big issue that needs to be clarified, and because if the lenders are concerned that they are not protected, it could actually result in them not wanting to to provide loans to this sector.
But realistically on ground, there is a black money component when it comes to land acquisition. So when you have this bill enforced, it's in play, how can that be reconciled, especially with this 70% lock-in?
That has really not been provided for in this document, and even if that was the case, what are we really concerned about here? We are concerned about monies that are paid to a developer by a prospective purchaser. So we are only concerned about those monies, and 70% of those monies actually being, kept in this particular account. Now, if, for instance, the developer has purchased the land in advance, then this enactment of the statute will not really deal with, how he has purchased and whether the money is black or white or whatever. So I don't think that's really relevant. Now, your concern may be that what happens for prospective purchasers who pay part of their money in cash and part of their money in white money. I think the intention is to protect the white money that was paid, and so if they have paid money in cash, I believe they need not really be protected. So the intention will be to ensure that transactions are, paid with white money, and in those circumstances, the consumers or the purchasers will be protected.
I want to now move away from the 70% lock-in and talk about the imprisonment clauses. The bill has proposed imprisonment of up to 3 years for builders and up to 1 year for buyers. In what cases can the buyers be imprisoned?
Yes, that is correct. But I think the circumstances in which the buyers can face imprisonment are few. I think the bigger issue would be for innocent landowners who have given their properties for development to developers. If you see the definition of promoter, the landowners could fall within the definition of promoter, and so where there is actually a default by the developer, it could result in the landowner who falls within the definition of a promoter being guilty of violating the provisions of the Act and actually facing imprisonment. And I think that's a very serious concern. You'll probably see a lot of people who would otherwise have got their lands, developed jointly with the developer now being concerned about that. And that would then raise the cost of doing projects, because typically developers do not want to put down large sums of money in purchasing projects or properties. They prefer to, do a joint development and provide the landowner a part of the developed area.
That's a very interesting point you're raising, that it's not just large landowners that need to be careful. For example, in Delhi, builder flats are very common, where a builder comes in, builds a number of flats on someone's land, and the original landowner gets to retain a few of them, and the rest are marketed and sold by the builder. So in those cases, the builder flats cases also, the owners need to be careful?
That is correct. That is correct. So you have someone who has a house of say 10,000 square feet, which was left to him by his grandfather, and now he has 5 children, so he wants to give each of them a flat. So he goes to a developer and says, please construct, on my land, please develop 10 flats and give 5 to me. And now if the developer breaches, and if you or me actually were one of the purchasers of the flat, and the developer breaches, then the landowner, who is guilty of no wrong and only provided his land for development, could actually be guilty of violating the provisions of this statute. And I think that is something very serious and needs to be looked into.
Okay, so that's a very important red flag that it was raised by JSA. If you are entering into an agreement with a builder and you are the promoter and you are the landowner, you could also be imprisoned in case of any wrongdoing. With that, time for a short commercial break. On the other side of this break, we're going to discuss the impact of the real estate regulator bill on new home buyers. Can prices go up? Should you buy a property now, or should you wait for the real estate regulators to be set up across states?